In today's Leeds news, Kelleher Brentford move in the works. Red Bull invest further. Orta sacking no longer trusted. Leeds optimistic on a Solomon deal. Farke still keen on Buendia, and Otavio watched for months. Morning folks, welcome back to The View for Wednesday morning, the 29th of May with your Leeds United news. Bit of stuff to get stuck into today. We'll crack on and get straight into it and not hang around. We'll start off with the Kelleher news that's come out this morning, and this summer transfer window opens on Sunday the 1st of June, but no one is expecting Leeds United to have a flurry of signings in the door on day one. But one player that could move quickly this summer is Liverpool goalkeeper Kelleher. According to the Liverpool Echo, Leeds have been named amongst 5 other Premier League clubs with interest in the goalkeeper. The report claims that Leeds have a definite interest in the goalkeeper, but as do West Ham, Bournemouth, Aston Villa and Brentford. And Brentford is the one to keep an eye on. They are said to be leading the race, and reports today suggest that they could already have stolen a step on everybody else and have a deal in the works with Liverpool. Kelleher's asking price was the stumbling block for a lot of clubs. It was rumoured to be anything up to £45 million, which seemed excessive with a goalkeeper with 1 year left on his deal. The reports today suggest the deal is likely to be around £20 million, there or thereabouts, and that Brentford have approached Liverpool to try and get this deal done as quickly as possible, as their goalkeeper Flecken looks like he could be heading towards Bayer Leverkusen. So that could be done and dusted. Leeds have other goalkeepers they've been linked with: Nick Pope, Jordy Petrovic, Finn Dackman, Aaron Ramsdale. Personal preference, I've said it before, I think Leeds should have a strong look at Jordy Petrovic just from the volume of shots that he's faced, and his save percentage as a result of that is incredibly high. So my personal preference. We'll talk more about the goalkeepers over on bigup.com this week as well. So if you want to check us out over there, keep an eye on the channel. I'll put some detail up around that. Let's move on and talk about the Red Bull investment, or not investment, or what investment, but we've got some clarity today. And as much as I love the fact that Leeds United currently operate in silence and the club is being ran like a proper professional outfit, it does come with issues with getting the full story all the time. Last week we were told about the news that Leeds had raised an addition in revenue from issuing new shares to existing shareholders, and as a result we were told that Red Bull didn't take up that option and that their share reduced or was watered down due to everybody else's shares increasing. Not the case today, according to Baron Cross in The Athletic. Cross, in his mailback piece in The Athletic today, states that Red Bull did take up the option to increase their shares, and that their current share listing is said to be at the same level that it was before the new shares were issued, and they contributed to the £120 million that was raised. This means that Red Bull's shareholding in Leeds United is still at that 10% mark, which means that Red Bull have likely invested in and around £12 million additionally into Leeds, and that will be injected into the summer transfer budgets or Elland Road redevelopment, part and parcel of both. So a little bit more clarification on that story. It'd be great to get all that detail in one go, wouldn't it? But there we go. We'll get there eventually, but let's move on. Talk about a Leeds adjacent side story, and this one relates to former Leeds United Director of Football Victor Orta, and Orta's time in Seville may be coming to a very abrupt end. Serious protests have been going on over the last month or so over in Seville against the ownership of Savilla as well as Victor Orta specifically, and Orta has himself admitted this week that he has made lots of mistakes in the role. A report today in Spain has suggested that he has lost the faith of key personnel inside the club due to what they've labelled as a period of chaos, which might sound very familiar to us Leeds fans. Reports from Estadio Deportivo claim that the confidence in the former Leeds United transfer chief has been completely lost, with the intention to part ways, but he is said to currently not be made aware of that situation. Orta no longer has direct communication with the organisation, according to this report, and is aware that his future is being discussed. Now, it appears that Victor Orta might be seeing a similar exit and end to his time at Sevilla that he saw when he was at Leeds United as well. So some uncomfortable similarities for Victor in that situation, but there we go. Let's move on. Let's talk about some transfer incomings, and one that could likely happen, and that is around Manor Solomon. According to reports today, Leeds are said to be optimistic about a deal to get Manor Solomon into the club on a permanent basis, and have listed the winger as being a priority signing for the club this summer. Spurs hierarchy apparently have come to a final decision on whether Leeds can take the deal a step further and try and get it completed, but both parties are said to be aligned on getting a deal done. However, reports today suggest that they are struggling to agree a transfer fee for the player. ESPN state that Solomon must find a new club after Spurs have decided he is surplus to requirements and will move on this summer. This goes on to say that Leeds will look to tie down the move for Solomon quickly, and that could be one of the deals that Leeds could get done as soon as the window opens if they can agree that fee with Tottenham Hotspur. If any player was to come in quickly to Leeds, it's likely to be Solomon because of the existing relationships between all the parties and the desire to get a deal done. This was likely being discussed closer to the end of last season as well. Daniel Levy is likely to want more than the £15 million initially rumoured to be the fee that Spurs wanted for Solomon due to his season last year, and Leeds are likely to want to try and keep that price tag at as low a point as they possibly can to allow more money to be spread evenly over the course of this summer. So interesting one to keep an eye on, but it looks like it could be coming to a conclusion pretty quickly. We'll move on. Let's get into the rumour mill territory now, and I've left this stuff to the end, and I will continue to leave a lot of the rumoured transfer stories to the end because I know it's not for everybody, and a lot of it is very much pinch of salt rumour territory right now. But we'll move on and talk about it. And MB Buendia was the subject of two Leeds United approaches last season, one in the summer and one again in January. But Buendia in January preferred a move to Bundesliga side Bayer Leverkusen, but due to minimal appearances for the club last year, they didn't take up the £17 million option to buy from Aston Villa and instead have let the player return to his parent club. According to Ben Jacobs today, Daniel Farke remains interested in the Villa attacker, and on the topic Jacobs said the following: Gustavo Hamer could leave Sheffield United, Leeds remain in interest and still like Emi Buendia. Everton are also inquired about Hamer. Sheffield United yet to receive any bids, but Hamer's future is one to watch. Leeds' biggest issue with Emi Buendia last season was to try and convince the player to come to a club outside of the Premier League, knowing that he wanted to play top tier football. That issue has now been removed from the equation and could leave the door open for Leeds to make a move for Buendia. The fee would be an interesting one. If Bayer Leverkusen were not keen to take up a £17 million option on a player, then Leeds are likely to not want to pay more than that £17 million. He is coming off the back of a very serious injury at the start of last year. The time he spent at Leverkusen might actually help him coming into a pre-season where he can get his legs fully back, and that could see him return to his best. Leeds need some type of player similar to a Buendia or a Gus Hamer. Not necessarily those two particularly, but a player along those lines. So it'll be interesting to see what happens and which one Daniel Farke sees value in, or do Leeds look at somebody more like Frank Honorat or other players that are out there, the likes of Edward Spertjan as well. So there's plenty of number 10s being talked about. The James McAtee stuff has got very quiet. That could mean that Leeds are moving for him, knowing that things tend to go quiet around this time when they are looking at making final moves for players. So again, it's an interesting one. It's going to be the exciting position. We're looking at that and the goalkeeper for me are the two biggest. The number 9 obviously comes into that equation as well, but getting those two right will be a huge part of Leeds' summer. And let's move on to the second last rumoured transfer of the day, and this from reports in France about a player playing in Portugal and a new name to add to your summer transfer bingo cards. And reports from French outlet today, Team Football, say that Lille are leading the race to sign Brazilian centre-back Otavio, who currently plays his football at FC Porto. But it also claims that Leeds have been watching Otavio for months now. Crystal Palace have also been said of having some level of interest in the player, who has a spectacular £42 million release clause, although it is said in this report that he's expected to leave Porto for significantly less than that amount of money. The report said that Porto could accept a bid of in and around £8 to £10 million for the centre-back, who played 20 times last season and clocked up 2 goals in the process. Otavio is a left-footed centre-back, 23 years of age, so a good age, plenty of time to come into his prime yet, and that left-footed piece could give Leeds some much-needed cover and competition on the Pascal Stroke side and allow Ethan Ampadu to move further up the pitch, with reports stating that Max Verber could be moving away from the club this summer, although not confirmed by any credible sources just yet. So Leeds will look to have additional cover in that position. They've also looked at Leonardo Balerdi, which would be near to impossible deal to get done. I'd love him, but very hard one to get done. But they are clearly looking at additional centre-backs this summer as well. And the final one that popped up over the last couple of days was Leeds been linked with a move for Middlesbrough number 10 Finn Azaz. Irish player, we know him quite well over here. Hasn't really hit the heights for Ireland that he hit for Middlesbrough last season. I'm not sure 100% if he'd be Premier League level quality. There would be a gamble in that, but he did get 23 goals and assists combined last season, 12 goals and 11 assists, which was one more than any of the front three attacking players Leeds had outside of the striking position. So maybe there's something in that. Maybe it's one to keep an eye on, and maybe he could be a similar type of player. He's younger, he's fitter, not massively gifted with pace, it should be said, but decent player at Championship level. Could he be a very good player at Premier League level in the future? Remains to be seen. We won't know. But that will be it for me today, folks. As I say, keep an eye on the Big Up channel as well. We will be doing more longer versions of the news in the next couple of days over there as well, and having a chat. And also, don't forget the Leeds United Creator Cup is taking place on the 20th of July at the John Charles Stadium for Sport in Leeds. £7 tickets for adults, £3 tickets for kids. Love to see you all there to help raise funds for Prostate Cancer UK. I'll talk to you soon. See you later. Bye.